Good morning, everyone. We've had some technical difficulties, but we are now ready to go. We are celebrating Advent here at Unity, and we remember that we're renewed, restored, and reborn through this activity of Christ during the Advent. This is the second Sunday of Advent. Peace is our focus this morning. And the daily word, it is, I affirm that divine peace is greater than any worldly condition. I choose peace. So on this day of Advent, well, you can't see me. I'm going to come around and light the candle for everyone. So we have 2 candles lit. We remember that it's the outer circumstances that disturb our peace, but we can also let those thoughts about those situations compromise our peace. And if we can mute that perpetual cycle of thought, it's a gift that brings inner peace. Eckhart Tolle talks about this quite a bit in his work, and he suggests that we practice mindfulness, and remember that there's a gap between where one thought ends and another one begins. Because if you think about it, if you're not aware of this gap, what happens is one thought stimulates another one, and before you know it, you have ruined your peace. You are in a story or in a situation. But as we become adept at resting in this gap, we can simply just be present to what's in that moment. So with quiet minds and open hearts, we find rest in the peace that surpasses all understanding. So we remember today, create space between our thoughts, catch the gap, and let your heart lead on this day of Advent. And we remember together that I am an individualized expression of God. I am ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. Even in Advent, we have the 5 movements of prayer. We open our minds this morning and our hearts to the spaciousness of peace. We remember that God is the faith, the strength, the order, the love that holds that peace. And I am faithful, love, strength, order. If I just stop for a moment and be in the moment, I am peace. I know I can stop and find the peace if I just take that breath, that one breath that breaks that cycle of spinning thoughts. In the silence, we become practiced at knowing that peace. And once you know it, you find it with your intention anytime you need it. I appreciate being back with this community. I appreciate, I'm thinking of all the Christmas we've shared here. I appreciate that we lead in yet to another Advent season, finding that faith and peace and love and joy. And so it is. Amen. Last night, I got to dance with my Nia buddies, and we celebrated both Hanukkah, the 7th day of Hanukkah, and of course, Christmas seasons. But what Laura noted, and Laura is Jewish and celebrates Hanukkah, and she brought to memory that, we're going into these darker days, these short days, and then it is kind of a dark time if you think about it. I mean, we've got a lot of challenges going on, but there's always light. There's the miracle of light. And remember in Hanukkah, they didn't know if they were going to be able to light the candles, and they found enough oil, enough for 8 days. And so it was really joyous dancing to some of their songs, her songs last night. And actually, I got to say, this is kind of funny. You know how we have pop songs for Christmas, like Mariah Carey and all that? Well, they have plenty of pop songs for Hanukkah. And it was really kind of fun finding the rhythms to dance to the dreidel sung in different ways. It was very fun. But it is a time of light, very much a time of light for us. And we're reminded that we can bring the light into the world. Advent means arrival. And so it's a time of arrival and preparation. Mary Morrissey, she's a Unity minister out in San Francisco. She says, when we sing, let every heart prepare him room. Now that's a line from Joy to the World. Let every heart prepare him room. That preparation is an activity of mind, heart, and spirit, where we become a living manger where love abides. Our heart, I really kind of like that image. Heart is like a living manger where love abides. And she says we each have access to something that is more powerful and more transcendent than anything the world can offer. Knowing the truth in concept, though, is not enough. We need to experience it in our own hearts, right in the presence of a difficulty that is scary or just seems too big. Learning to stare down the dark of the problem we proclaim through the power of God in me, I will shine the light. It's a bold claim. In the silence and in our prayer practice, divine love fills our heart, and we do shine that light of faith and peace and love and joy. We can do it. We are the beacons that can shine. I like the way that the words in Advent build during these 4 weeks, because I got to confess to y'all, I'm not yet in the Christmas spirit. Now that's yet. It's just I'm not all excited like we're seeing on TV all these specials, and I'm just not there quite yet. But I love the way the words build, because I can start with faith and have a little bit of expectancy, and then peace. Okay, this is a good week to focus on peace. Despite all the expectations of the season, we don't have to. Peace is not perfection. Peace is just being present to what is, and even putting out a small decoration, which, trust me, that's all I'm going to do probably. But even doing that, or getting out an old Christmas mug, we can do it, find it in the small things. And then we get to build towards that love and that joy. So that will be, I'm looking forward to that. Now, as we focus on peace, my title, this is a quote from Gandhi. There is no way to peace. Peace is the way. Peace is the way. And we almost could say that about any of the words in Advent, but I like that. Peace is the way. Well, so where does peace come from? So go back in your life. Go back and think about it. Think about it as a child. What was peace to you back then? It probably was something like the security and the trust in your parents, that you felt safe, you felt comforted. If you banged a knee, you knew who to go to, perhaps. Sadly, though, it's interesting. That is an origin of the peace that we want to be, that way of peace. Because if we don't get that peace and trust in those early years, I realize not everyone perhaps had that, but that is kind of where peace begins. And then it's so funny, when we're children, we look to our parents. Now, peace as a teen, that's being left alone by your parents, right? Being in your room with your music loud or whatever. I don't know if maybe y'all y'all can think about. So what was peace in those years? And then as a young adult, what was peace? Maybe a comfy bank account, a good job. What brought you peace then? Part of it is so determined by our world, and how we get pushed. We have to be adults. So we have jobs and we make homes, and those, we're still sort of focused on the outside for peace. But then as we mature spiritually and just mature, you start to realize that the external conditions really don't make the peace. It doesn't bring lasting peace. And worse, our peace it's kind of fragile because it seems to disappear when people leave or things change. And that's true. When we get those setbacks, like, where's our peace? It's just, we're living in a strange world. And that is when the miracle of peace comes forth. So stripped down from temporary pleasures or successes, we have nowhere to look but inside. It finally just comes back to us. And we discover there still can be peace. And this new peace is more unlimited and unconditional. See, that is our work as lunatics. Peace is the way. Hey, now think about what disturbs you about your peace. Bad news. News on television. Let's see. Maybe posts on Facebook. I don't know what, a letdown, a conflict. I just get agitated around conflict. I'm not good with that. And while those sort of things can be initially painful, if you allow the disintegration of the old way, you simply make space for something new and even a better clarity than you had before, even more clarity. And we learn that outside circumstances don't ultimately take our peace. Peace is the way. Whoops. So at first I thought, what am I going to say today in this talk? Because I was out of practice. But then I remembered, you know what? For 16 years, Chris Johnson and I have held the World Peace Meditation here at Unity at 6 a.m. We have been faithful. Y'all, this has been 16 or 17 years that we've done this. We've come up here and, last year we didn't, but we have come up here just about every New Year's Eve at 5:30, started the oven and started our breakfast. We cook a breakfast and serve it after the meditation, but we all gather at 6 a.m. here. Now, this started back in 1986. John Randolph Price started it, and he allowed it to be at noon Greenwich time in 1986. And men, women, and children around the world gathered to participate in this massive meditation, comprehensive prayer activity. And he called it the World Healing Day, the World Instant of Cooperation, World Peace Day, a moment of oneness to dissolve the sense of separation and return humankind to Godkind. It's a really special event that I have enjoyed participating in. And, over these years, I've collected many texts and ideas. Oh, and I meant to get my little books out. I brought a couple of the books. But it's funny, over the years, a book would just come to me, or I'd be browsing a bookstore or listening for something, and the ideas always came. So I was going to share just a few of those with you today. And it's because it's been an interesting journey, and it's not just Christians or lunatics that write about peace. I've picked up on traditions from everywhere. So So one of them is The Third Jesus, written by Deepak Chopra. And in this book, Deepak tells of an incident at a book signing. He was signing, he's a prolific writer, and he was there in a bookstore and signing his books. And this woman insisted on having personal time with him. And it really became very upsetting to him. And it just disturbed the peace of the event. And that's something for Deepak Chopra to claim that. And he said, well, you know what I had to consider was an essential spiritual truth, that people mirror back to us the reality of who we are. So he wondered, so what has been going on in me that I could see this disruption out there? To put it bluntly, he said, this was a Jesus moment. When Jesus preached, if anyone strikes you on the cheek, offer him the other side. Jesus wasn't preaching masochism or martyrdom. He was speaking of a quality of consciousness that is known in Sanskrit as ahimsa. And ahimsa means nonviolence or do no harm. And it's become the watchword of Gandhi's movement of peaceful resistance. And we remember this in the civil rights movement. And then nonviolence that's why that word gets used in what I love to practice is nonviolent communication. It came from this idea of nonviolence. And what we have to realize is that violence can come in our words, in our actions, and even sometimes our thoughts. It's not just about an obvious warlike action. So there are 3 principles in ahimsa. First, you need to bring peace to yourself. Peace is the way. Second, your ability to be nonviolent depends on a shift in consciousness. And that may be at any moment. And Travis and I know as we've practiced this, you may be receiving information or communication from somebody and it triggers you. But then if you just work it, you can shift your consciousness and hear it a different way. I know recently my son and daughter have not been hearing each other very well. And I made a point to my daughter the other day. I said, Mitch has a filter up right now. And what you're saying, this is the way it's coming through to him. And it's not your fault. It's not truth. There's just this filter. And she went, oh. And then she just sort of dropped that, conflict, that sandpaper. Now we need to help him remove the filter perhaps, but it's so interesting how, in a way, I think we always intend to connect. We just let so many things get in the way. But the last part of this is if you're successful in changing yourself, then reality will mirror the change back to you. How many times has that happened? If you've changed you, suddenly things change around you. Now that could be true somehow with how Deepak dealt with this woman. Without these 3 conditions, ahimsa isn't spiritual or even effective. How often do we really turn the other cheek, but still have a desire for retaliation? How often do we let jackals, as we say in nonviolent communication, how often do we try to act one way, but in our heads, the jackals are going off, the judgments are going off? I know I've been there. When the other person is equally enraged, the only thing that will occur is more violence. Playing the part of a saint won't make a difference. But if a person is God conscious, it turns out that, and turns the other cheek, it really disarms the enemy. It does. If you think about it, if that's ever happened to you, you know what I'm talking about. Now, Chopra's intent in this book, as I was reading, he quoted a lot of Jesus's teachings and sayings. And in unity, that's important. We go by the teachings of Jesus Christ. He's our way shower, and those teachings are very important to us. Not so much, all the historical story. We kind of look at some of that metaphysically, but his teachings or what are so important. And so as I say, he used Jesus' actual words. Now, Jesus said, resist not evil. Resist not evil. I love it when they turn around the syntax, but meaning you got to face the evil that is there. Evil happens, but it's not a real power. It is the separation from divinity. And he says, over the years, Deepak said this, over the years, this teaching has become diluted. It has been watered down into a kind of compassionate passivity, a way to walk away from bullies instead of fighting back. In fact, we feel morally superior because we think we haven't added to the violence of the world. But this is where we let things go, or sometimes our silence and our inaction can be worse than if we had confronted. So resist not evil, if carried out in real life, would lead to a society of forgiveness. We really continue to live by the very law that Jesus preached against, an eye for an eye. Look at our circumstances, look at the conflicts in the world. We get entrenched in who's right. But forgiveness, wow. Forgiveness breaks a chain. It breaks a chain that binds you. It is that freedom. It is peace. And the missing element is always consciousness. Evil is everything when you are susceptible to it. It is nothing when you aren't. Having to be right all the time is not peaceful. A consciousness of allowing and knowing I have enough is peaceful. Peace is the way. So it's easy to align ourselves with God consciousness, especially like when we get a glimpse of beauty and love, when we get into this Christmas season and singing the songs and decorating the trees and put, all the trappings that we have with the season. Yeah, well, that's easy to be, aligned with consciousness. But then we hear of the challenges in the world, the politics, more news on the pandemic, all the world conflicts. Chopra says Jesus would see only light, and his compassion would go out to the suffering, not because of their pain, so much as it saddened him, their inability to be in the light with him. His invitation is, I am the light, be in the light with me. And we know that perception creates our reality. All of Jesus' teachings have the common point of shifting our perception, shifting consciousness. Peace is the way. Now, another little gem that I found along the way was The Art of Peace. It was a small little book. And it was written by Morihei Ueshiba. And he was the founder of Aikido, the martial arts. And he called his mind-body discipline the art of peace, not Aikido, but the art of peace, which offers a nonviolent way to victory in the face of conflict. Ueshiba wrote, the art of peace emanated from the divine form and the divine heart of existence. It reflects the true, good, beautiful, and absolute nature of creation and the essence of its ultimate grand design. Now, that seems contradictory, right? That the art of peace, martial arts. But if you know anything about some of the martial arts, you realize that it's not about showing up as a ninja warrior all the time. It is about that peace. And here are some of his quotes. And I decided I may not want to read these. Just take a look. I hope that. Oh, the art of peace. One does not need buildings, money, or power to practice the art of peace. Now, this is something we believe. The kingdom of God is here and now. Heaven is right where you are standing. And that is the place to train in the art of peace. Peace is the way. And here's the Japanese symbols mean Aikido, the art of peace. Universal truths. The book is full of these sayings, but there's only one quote per page. It's like it's a series of meditations. Just, you can just focus on one thing and it builds. That's just a sample of it. Our old sign out there on the Reservoir Road said, truth principles that work for you, universal truth principles that work for you. And I love how I find exactly what we teach in so many different traditions. Another one in the Buddhist tradition is the metta prayer. And really, if you're doing this, you can start with yourself and go to your community, and then you end with all beings. So what a beautiful wish. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings awaken to the light of their true nature. May all beings be free. Wow. That just, if we just practice that meditation. And one of the years I made a booklet for our peace meditation, and I wrote it. This was a while ago, but I felt like I had to rewrite it as a unitic. But I do like this. But the other I've come back to because it's more simple. But the presence of God in me is my peace. I am at peace. The presence of God in me is my heart. My heart is open. The presence of God in me is my own true nature. I'm finding the light of my own true nature. The presence of God in me heals me. I'm healing. I am a source of healing for others. That is an affirmative prayer if I've ever heard one. So, and finally, I wanted to, I always like to do symbols at Christmas. And, one thing about Christmas is it's such a sensuous time. There's taste. We remember our favorite treats and dishes. There's smells, of course, the Christmas tree. There's sights, obviously, the music, and the feel of Christmas. I don't know how you would sum that up, but it's a very sensuous time. So I have here the Christmas wreath. It's a beautiful symbol of peace and harmony and hearth. We have it on our doors, and we welcome everyone with the wreath. So, but the point is, it's a circle, and it creates a peaceful space where heart and soul can rest. Circles have no ending or beginning. Circles contain an inner sacred sanctum. The form has no sharp angles, and there's nothing to cast you out. You're included. I really do love that. You know, the holidays give us many types of circles if you start looking at it. We have wreaths and ornaments and celestial orbs. Probably you find it in the nativity scene, family scenes, all built upon circles. Even the circle created by two people hugging forms a perfect circle. I love this because we've missed hugs in the past couple of years, but I know at Unity here, we are tentatively hugging each other again. Hugs are great circles. And we mentally step into the circles around us to experience the divine energy that unfolds and flows within. So I offered this at the end here for you to think, wow, I see circles. You know, look at the ornaments, the round, beautiful globes, the shiny globes. Look at the wreaths. Start noticing the circles. I think that's fun. I am going to go into a meditation here in a minute, but before I do, at the end of the meditation, I'm going to play Came Upon a Midnight Clear. And I started this out by saying, prepare him a room you're in your heart. So as you prepare the Christ a room, if you think about it, the setup of this beautiful Christmas song, it came upon a midnight clear. I know my dad always loved Christmas Eve when the shopkeepers put everything to bed, went home to their families, and all was quiet. All was quiet. It was a very peaceful time. And I can only imagine, I love the nativity scene and thinking about the shepherds finding the angels on high. And if you look at the lyrics to the song, it addresses in a real honest way how we can bring peace on earth. And let me real quickly read you a couple of verses. Well, you probably know the beginning. It came upon the midnight clear, that glorious song of old, from angels bending near the earth to touch their harps of gold. Peace on the earth, goodwill to men, from heaven, all gracious King. The world in solemn stillness lay to hear the angels sing. Still through the cloven skies they come with peaceful wings unfurled, and still their heavenly music floats o'er all the weary world. Above its sad and lowly plains they bend on hovering wing, and ever o'er its babel sounds the blessed angels sing. So the angels are still here. It's there. In the silence, I wonder. Yet with the woes of sin and strife, the world has suffered long. Beneath the angels' strain have rolled 2,000 years of wrong. And man at war with man hears not the love song which they bring. Oh, hush the noise, ye men of strife, and hear the angels sing. I love it how it just brings in what is. And ye beneath life's crushing load, whose forms are bending low, who toil along the climbing way with painful steps and slow. Look now, for glad and golden hours come swiftly on the wing. Oh, rest beside the weary road and hear the angels sing. For lo, the days are hastening on by prophets seen of old, when with the ever circling years shall come the time foretold, when Christ shall come and all shall own the Prince of Peace, thinking in saints. I'm so sorry. Prince of Peace, their King, and saints shall meet him in the air. and with the angels sing. As we go into meditation, I love this quote from John. I'm leaving you with a gift, peace of mind and heart. And the peace I give is a gift the world cannot give. So don't be troubled or afraid. And I might add, peace is the way. Now, as we come to meditation, taking deep breaths slowly. I come to my heart center. I let peace well up from the depth of my beingness. A quiet energy courses through my body. Pause and feel the peace. It is the awareness of my divine nature, my steadfast affirmations harmonize my whole body structure. Feel the harmony of peace. Feel the harmony and the opening to well-being in mind, body, and spirit. As I choose peace, I am calm and bright in this moment and throughout my day. I transform stress. Breathe. I transform tension into productive energy. Thoughts of peace, words of peace, images of peace fill my consciousness. Bring a sensory feeling of peace to your mind and your heart. Feel it, see it. Taste it, hear it. Hear the angel's song. Now drop the thoughts and the memories and even the word. Just feel the energy of peace. Peace is the way. In the silence, in the silence. I walk in faith. In the stillness, I find peace and love. I choose peace and joy. On this day of Advent, I open my awareness in the peaceful circles all around us. We have gathered in Christ. We will gather again. We're going to say the prayer of protection. We say today together, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.